Everyone, welcome to codeAYD. Today in our Making iOS Apps in Swift series, we'll be looking at view controllers, and this is part of creating an interface in Xcode. So you can see over here, I have something named view controller, and I have my view controller scene over here. Now the view controller is what controls all of these views. You can see it has this major view at the back, my safe area on all my views. They're within something called the view controller. A view controller is pretty much just a screen. It's another way of saying a scene, which device is view controller scene over here. What I want to do is I want to go to my objects over here, and I want to grab a new view controller, and you can see there I have a new screen. So what I can do is I have this something about me page here. If I wanted to have another page in my app, I could put things over here. So I might just copy something like this, and I'll just copy those and Command C, Command V, so I'll paste them over here. If I put similar things over here, I can now say music, and then I can put favorite music. You can put any layout that you like there, and I just want to change that label to make it smaller, and here I can write classical. Let me just add back the constraints that are now missing. So that one, and there we go. It's not complaining about constraints anymore. So if I wanted that page to be in my app as well, I need to create a new view controller. But if I run my app, for example, I'll run mine on the XS Max. If I go back to the simulator, I can hide these ones for now. I'm just using the iPhone. So on my XS Max, you can see there's something about me pages there, but the new page that we created isn't there. The reason that that new page isn't there is because we set this arrow to be on our default view controller. In order to get that arrow to point to the other one, we can simply grab it and move it. And now when we run the app on the iPhone XS Max, you'll see, there you go, you see the music page. Now, what we'll need to do later on is we want to be able to change from being inside of one view controller to being inside of another view controller. So I'm just going to move my arrow back to here. I want this to be my default page, and when I press, I'm going to put a new button actually. So button, and I'm just going to remove the constraint there for my screen button. Just there, I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to lower my screen button. Then I'm going to put my button there, and I'm going to center my button. So this new button that I've added, what I want to do is I want to double click it to change the text, and I'll just change it over here then, and I'm going to say go to my music. And I like the red that I've had for everything. And I'm going to add back the constraints for the screen. But when I press go to my music, I want to change to this view controller over here. To do that, I want to grab it, that label, and that button, and I want to select it, and I want to hold control. As I hold control, I can drag like this, and I can drop it over here, and I can hit show. And you see that I put this new label, this new arrow. When I click this new arrow, it selects the button that sends it, and when I run my app, making sure that the arrow of course is back on this view controller, this is the initial view controller, which is what that arrow means. Also, to change the initial view controller, I can just click my view controller, and I can say is initial view controller over here. I want to run it on my XS Max. And there you go, this is my default page, and when I hit go to my music, there you go, you see my music page there. So well done, you've created a second view controller and you've set it up with a button that gets to that view controller. Getting from one view controller to another is called a segue. So we segued from this view controller to this view controller. You can see they're both called view controller. If I click somewhere else, you'll see it. So view controller and view controller. I can give them titles, so I can click this view controller and I can give it a title. I'm going to call it music view controller. You don't need to give it a title, it's just there. So it looks that way in your code and over here in the hierarchy down here. So those are my view controllers there. I also probably want to add a back button to get back to my other view. So let's go button, like that. And I'm just going to add the missing constraints. It'll do that for me. So sometimes if you get a bit lazy with constraints, you can let Xcode do the work for you. It doesn't get them right all the time, but sometimes it does the job for you. So I'm happy with the one that's done there. And I want a back button. And when I press the back button, I want to get back to this view. So again, Control is what I want to hold on my keyboard. And then I want to drag from that button to here, and I want to show that view controller. It's put a really confusing arrow there, but it's an arrow nonetheless. And when I click it, you can see back. So if I run the app again on my simulator, there you go. You can go to my music and you can see my favorite music, and you can hit back and it'll go back to my other one. We can add custom animations for our segues later on, but we'll not do that for now. For now, it's just important for us to remember a few things. Firstly, a view controller is not a view. It's something that controls views. Every view controller has a view in it. So for example, my music view controller has this view and my normal view controller has this view. You cannot get rid of that. If I delete that view, you say it's just a view controller and it's not going to work. If I go to run this now, the app will get very confused. So I go to my music and you see it's just a black view. And that's because there's nothing inside of this. So I'll Command Z and I'll add that view back. But it's important to remember that a view controller is not a view. It is something that controls view, hence the name view controller. That's important later on. Never get confused between a view and a view controller. Easiest way to remember it is that a view controller is for a new scene. It's kind of like the difference between a paragraph and a chapter in the book. A paragraph would be something like our labels, and a chapter would be what contains all those labels and all those paragraphs, which is our view controller. So we need a new view controller for each of the scenes we're going to have, and we'll go more into depth later on. There are actually a few different kinds of view controllers, and we'll be exploring that in the next few videos.